Welcome to the Catherine Vandome and Me podcast.
Hashtag hosts and the HQFM quiz and bingo software are proud to sponsor the Catherine Vandome and Me podcast. With HQFM quiz and bingo software, you can use this interactive quiz software at any venue. All you need is an internet connection. Go to hashtagquiz.co.uk for your free trial today.
Hello and welcome to Catherine Vandome and Me. I'm Catherine Vandome and I'm a stand-up comedian in recovery from very severe ME. I'm also a published author and my autobiography is out now. It's called The Truth About Me by Catherine Vandome and it's all about entertainment and health, just like today's podcast. So today it gives me the greatest of pleasure to introduce onto today's show the incredible stand-up comedian Phil Walker. Hello there, Phil. How are you?
Hello, how are you? I'm very well, thanks.
It's great to have you on today, Phil. Absolutely brilliant, because I have seen your work as well. It is absolutely sensational, and you come from a very, very talented family as well. You have a lot of comedians within your own family, which is just brilliant. And if you don't mind me sharing, your father was the host of Catchphrase for many years. That's where most people would recognise him, but also a stand-up comedian as well, and that's Roy Walker. And you've also got a very talented sibling, which is Mark Walker, whom I was privileged to work with on the cruise ships around the world many years ago. Also very, very funny as well. So Phil, it gives us great pleasure to have you on to today. And how does that feel to be in a whole family of comedians?
Yeah, well, it's been interesting over the years for sure. Yeah. Yeah,
Are you all fighting? Are you all fighting for the top gags?
Kind of, yeah, sometimes.
But just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we're going to go back in time and hear all about you from the very beginning.
Yeah, I'm doing stand-up comedy, but not just on this northern circuit. I do go all over the place, really. I also do cruise ships and pantomimes and a bit of acting and stuff like that. There's all sorts of things, really. I've always liked to try and keep what I do quite varied, rather than just doing one thing. I mean, sometimes some people might think that's to your detriment but I get a bit restless and bored sometimes, so I try and keep things interesting. I think that's sort of done me in good stead personally over the years.
Absolutely, because a lot of stand-ups, including myself, are actor perhaps driven and born, which will go back to how you began. So, often that's the taste of drama, perhaps at school or whatever. And then eventually you start to find your niche and what works for you. And if you've got funny bones, which you clearly have, then obviously, it was always going to happen. That was always going to be your vocation, I think. So what I'm hearing you say is you do acting, you're an international stand-up comedian, of course, and but obviously here on the northern circuit, whereabouts are you based, Phil?
Currently just outside Chorley in a little village called Withnell.
Okay.
We moved here about 4 years ago. I lived for many years on the coast near Blackpool in Lytham St Anne's. But we moved here just after the lockdown.
Okay. Oh, so you've had quite a dramatic change and shift of location. Is there any reason for that, Phil? Because most people dream to live in Lytham.
Well, I went to school there and everything, and after the pandemic, we decided to move because we had to downsize from where we lived because of the situation at the time. Nobody knew where we were going to be. Coming out of lockdown, whether there was going to be work and stuff like that. So we decided to do that, and we sold our house pretty quickly at the time. And then it was a case of just trying to find somewhere to live, and we came across this place, and we thought it'd be nice to live in the countryside for a while. So
Yes,
we've been here ever since.
I think that seems to have resonated with a lot of people, Phil, particularly those in the big cities. There was a big feel of, well, if I'm going to be stuck, I'd rather be surrounded by cows and fields. Yeah, I think that kind of resonated with a lot of people. Although Lytham, I have to say, is a hotspot of beauty, in my opinion, with the beautiful beach and the surrounds. But as you say, it's almost like when you've been stuck in a particular area, there's been a lot of people move abroad as well, because there was that feeling of, right, I've done that chapter now. What's next? Am I right with that?
Yeah. I mean, the good thing is where we are, we can be back in Lytham in like half an hour or so. It's not that far away, really. So we still have a lot of friends and family still over there, so we can get back pretty quickly to see people.
That's fantastic. And you've got great colleagues and friends in the business. And we've had one of your friends, Steve Royal, on a few months ago. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, Steve lives in the village here where I'm currently at. So bump into him sometimes on walks and stuff.
That's fantastic. So was he a major influence in your move?
No, I didn't really. I knew he lived in this area, but I didn't know whereabouts he'd lived. Even though we've worked together a lot over the years, I'd never been to his house or anything. So it was a nice surprise that we moved into the same area at the time.
That's fantastic. So obviously Chorley now is, Chorley Chortle, I guess, with all of you comedians all residing there, which is great.
Yeah, it's very handy for the motorways and stuff like that at the moment. Even though we're in the countryside, I could be on the motorway within minutes, really, from where we are. So it's handy. It's a handy hub to get to.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when you're traveling at night and doing all of those journeys to your gigs, when you do live near a motorway, that is a benefit, isn't it? The being so close to that. If you can just give a brief synopsis of what your actual job is and a little bit about what you've done, and then what we'll do, Phil, with your permission, is go back and hear about your young childhood, where you were born, of course, and a little bit more about what got you into showbiz. So just a brief synopsis of what you've done and some of your achievements, and in case anybody doesn't know you, but I very much doubt that.
No, I don't know. I'm not famous or anything like that, but I've been doing stand-up for well over 25 years now. Started off in Blackpool, ran the hotels and clubs and stuff, and then started doing a few talent competitions. And prior to that, I'd been a blue coat at Pontins, so I did a couple of years on the holiday parks circuit. And then started doing gigs on that circuit after a couple of years of doing talent competitions and getting picked up by agents.
Wow.
But I always liked the comedy clubs. So, but I didn't know how to get into them at the time because we were based near Blackpool. There wasn't much of that scene. This was in the sort of 90s, early 90s, mid 90s. It was still very much a sort of variety thing, which was great. But obviously all that's gone now. So at the time, I remember I went to the Frog and Bucket for the first time in Manchester. This was about late 90s, early 2000s, and started watching comedy there. And I just realised straight away that's where I wanted to work, on that scene. Even though I was doing well on the working men's clubs and holiday park scene, I wanted to go there. So the Frog and Bucket was the start of me doing comedy clubs. So I started doing the Monday nights there, and then progressed to doing weekends there. And then at that time, there was a lot of good things going on in Manchester. The Comedy Store had just opened early 2000s.
Yeah.
And there was lots of other clubs like the Buzz Club and stuff like that. And then shortly after that, I was fortunate enough to win City Life Comedian of the Year at the Comedy Store.
Wow.
The guy who won it the year before was some bloke called John Bishop. I don't know what
Who's
happened
that?
to him. Kind of disappeared off the scene. He had a lot of promise, actually. Yeah, so it was quite a big thing to win at the time when he was.
That's
starting
incredible,
off on that
Phil.
circuit.
I'll just pause you there because that's incredible, Phil. So John Bishop won the year before, and then Phil Walker yourself, you win 12 months later.
Yeah.
And how long had you been doing stand-up to be in that position of winning something?
Well, on the comedy circuit, probably about 2 years.
Wow.
But there was people like Jason Manford won it a few years before. Peter Kay's won it. Going back, Steve Coogan, Caroline Ahern. Because it was called Northwest Comedian of the Year, and then it got sponsored by City Live, which was a magazine, which still is a magazine in the Manchester area. So it was like City Life Northwest Comedian of the Year. And then that kind of opened quite a few doors to get in with a lot of other clubs. And then the mid-2000s, sort of Jongleurs started up.
Yeah.
And they had a big chain of comedy clubs throughout the country at the time. I think there was like 15 or 16 clubs. So they were like Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. So once you got in with them, which I was fortunate enough to do, you were able to make a living on the comedy circuit, because you could do like 2 or 3 weekends a month for them. They paid for your hotels and all that business, and you got well looked after. And then the rest of the months you could do other little gigs wherever you fancied doing, because you had the money, to pay for your bills and stuff. And then they also opened the doors for the Forces gigs, which they became very big about 2008, 2010. I started going off to like places like Afghanistan and Iraq and the Falkland Islands and all these different places, and I worked for them for about 10 years.
Phil, you were the Gracie Fields of our generation, is that right?
Yeah, well, there was quite a few. I mean, my brother Mark, he did a few of them as well. He did quite a few, and there was like I toured with Rod Gilbert on them, Jim Jeffries, all these kind of people. Anyone who was doing well on the circuit at the time, who suited that kind of style of audience, because they're not the easiest audience in the world. The Forces, you've got to have some front to sort of go in front of a lot of squaddies in a war zone, or out in Cyprus when they're on their way back from a war zone. But they were interesting gigs, because you got to meet these people in their environment and got to see how they live their lives, and then they were appreciative of us coming doing the shows.
I bet they were, because you're literally the light relief in such a terrifying situation, I'm sure.
Yeah, they were great adventures, really. When I look back on it, some of the things we got up to, on those tours, it was good fun. And the good thing was you were traveling with like people you knew from the circuit. Because, for instance, when we did Afghanistan, there'd be 4 or 5 comedians on a bill. We'd have an MC and 4 comedians. So it was like a weekend gig at the Comedy Store, but we were out in a war zone.
Wow, that is very interesting, and I want to hear more about that in a little while as well, because that's that must be one of the most intriguing opportunities, and very heartfelt as well on both sides. I'm sure they welcomed you into the sort of bosom of their community, because and I'm sure very protective of you. One would assume, is that right?
Yeah. I mean, they really appreciated the fact that we'd come, like you say, from the outside world to come into their world, and I mean, we literally were under their protection.
Absolutely. So you're not going to get. It's not going to be like, I'm not going to quote a particular area, but it's not going to be like a particular northern venue where they might throw something at you. It's going to be the opposite, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean. They were fun gigs. They were really good. But that's like brilliant. I say, what I said before, I've always liked to try to do variety of stuff. And then one minute you're in a war zone, and then the next minute you're doing a comedy club or a cruise or something like that. So it sets you up to be able to put yourself into any environment, and and I think that's the secret of longevity. A lot of people that I started off with that just went down the comedy club route. He could only work comedy clubs, and they had that good 20 minutes that worked at Jongleurs every weekend.
Yeah.
Once those clubs started to drop off and there wasn't as much work there, they kind of faded away, and a lot of them didn't come back, But luckily, with my background, I've been able to diversify and keep going, because I've worked in all these different scenarios, like pantomimes and stuff like that. So there's always something going on.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. So that kind of gives a brief synopsis of your colourful career, which is incredible, Phil. Some delving into some real, different modalities, if you like, that not every comedian would have the opportunity to do, and also winning awards, and really excelling in your field of expertise, and 25 years in showbiz, in particularly in stand-up, is a wealth of experience for any comedian. I'm sure you agree, and you're still going. That's fantastic. As you say, it's dipping into Oh, you're definitely still going. You're fantastic. Very, 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 very funny. Take us back, and whereabouts were you born?
I was born in Northern Ireland, along with all my other siblings as well, my brother and my sister. And my dad obviously was he'd been in the army and stuff like that, and he was starting off his career in show business. And then this was like sort of early 70s. We had to sort of leave Northern Ireland because of the troubles that were on. My dad, decided that we had to get out of that situation. So we moved to England, to the northeast of England, near Durham, and we lived there for about 7 or 8 years. Went to school there and everything. So sort of raised it there, and then at that time, my dad was quite busy on the northeast circuit, doing the working men's clubs and stuff. And then as he progressed in his career, he started getting summer seasons in Blackpool and places. So then we moved down to Lancashire to move more sort of central. And we moved to Kirkham at first, and then to St Anne's, and stayed there ever since,
Wow. So in your youth, your father, as you said, from Northern Ireland, is that right?
Mm.
And he decided, because of the troubles, to come over to England. Had he started doing stand-up and gigs over in Ireland, or did that all start and progress after he'd had the children? And did he have another job prior to that? What was a bit of his Roy Walker's backdrop?
Well, he'd been in the army, and then and he did a bit of singing previous to that, just when he was a lot younger. Then went into the army, and then when he came back out, he opened a greengrocer's in Belfast.
So wow! So he's like Ronnie Barker.
Yeah. So he did that, and then he started comparing at a club called the Talk of the Town. At the time that was opened in Belfast. So he was the resident compere there, and he had a band and everything, and he'd sing the songs with the band, introduce the acts, and then started telling a few jokes. And then when he went to the northeast, he was still a vocalist then, and with a few jokes in between. And he found out that the comedians got paid a lot more than the singers. So he started throwing more jokes in. And people seemed to like what he was doing. So he eventually just dropped the singing and became a full-time comedian.
Fantastic.
Now it's funny enough, it's the other way now. A lot of comedians on the circuit don't get as much as the comedy clubs. They haven't paid more money for 20 odd years that I've known. Right. A lot of them pay less now, actually. So I think the days of making a living off the comedy circuit, like it was maybe 10 or 15 years ago, gone. That's why a lot of guys, myself included, we've started doing our own little tours and stuff, because you can make more money doing that. And there's not many clubs that do full weekends anymore, like Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. there's like Hot Water in Liverpool, which has become a big success, and there's like the Glee clubs. I think there's like 2 or 3 of them, and there's a couple of clubs in London, like the Comedy Store included. But you only get to play these places once or twice a year, so they're not every week. So to make a living off the circuit, there's a lot of driving now, one-nighters and stuff like that. So you've got to be able to be versatile, do like corporate gigs, cruises, comedy clubs, and stuff like that to fill the diary and make a living.
What you're saying is, to be a pure stand-up comedian, it's much tougher. And I know a lot of stand-ups sort of, they open their show with a bit of a song. It was always kind of a tradition, wasn't it? Whether they could sing or not, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of stand-ups always sort of wish they could be singers, and a lot of singers wish they could be stand-ups. And there's always been that sort of dual, crossover. And what I found was, I would be doing a Jessie J tribute, as you said, one weekend, and then I had to write a 1980s tribute and then also do the stand-up another time. So I was, like yourself, I guess, being quite versatile, pantomimes and everything, and cruise ships as well, so that, as you say, you can actually be employed consistently. And I think what I'm hearing you say is that's the hardship of today. And I think there's a lot of venues closing and folding around our ears as we speak. Is that right, Phil?
Yeah, absolutely. There are, I mean, there's still quite a lot of work out there, but you've got to be able to prepare to travel and be versatile, like I say, to work in these different situations. It's not the same as it was a few years ago, but it's like anything. I think everything evolves. A lot of comics now do podcasts, and they've built up a following through their podcasts, and then they're able to tour off that because they've built up a lot of fans through the podcasts, and a lot of people know their voices and know who they are.
Yes.
And then so that's become a completely different circuit. Social media is a big thing now. A lot of people are filming clips of themselves every week and putting them up to try and build up more followers, and then the more followers you get, the bigger their audience that you can sort of push your stuff towards, whether you want to do tours or whatever. A lot of people buy into you. The days of years ago, it used to be you had to be on TV.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky to go. I've been on a few TV shows in the past, but now it doesn't seem to be as powerful because a lot of people just are watching the smartphones or YouTube and stuff like that. So there are ways that you can build an audience up without going down the television route, by building a following up of your own. If people buy into you,
then they'll come and follow you.
If you've got 10, 20,000 followers, chances are you can do a tour of it. It might not be like an arena tour or anything like that, but you can do some nice little venues, studio. There's plenty of little studio spaces in theatres and stuff like that where you can, you can make enough to sort of do a little tour now, which is what I'm doing actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, tell us about that, Phil. So tell us what you're doing at the moment.
I'm doing a tour called Happy Bunny, which is I had some pictures done about a year ago off Andy Hollingworth, who's a famous photographer of comedians, and one of the pictures was an image of me wearing some sort of bunny ears, a bit like Steve Martin. It was one of his ideas, and it kind of sparked off the idea, and it was me sort of celebrating with it's like one of those things that you blow out.
Yes, yeah.
On New Year's Eve, but he wanted me to look really miserable, as if you're at a party but you're not having a good time. So it sparked off the idea.
We've all been there, Phil, haven't we?
yeah, it sparked off the idea of me doing this Happy Bunny, and basically it's just me doing an hour of stand-up, really, and I have a guest as well with me, and we started doing it sort of November last year before I did pantomime, and went into that, and I did about 7 or 8 dates, in small venues, and then I'm starting again in February into March this year, and then hopefully maybe in the autumn this year I'll continue it and do
That's
some more.
fantastic. That's brilliant. So you, what's it called again?
It's called Happy Bunny.
Happy Bunny.
Yeah, and it's all the dates are listed on my website, so people can see it there and social media and stuff. But some of the tickets is in some of the theatres not selling as well as the others, but others are like Chorley Theatre, which is near where we live. I'm doing that. I think that's the final date of this tour. That's selling really well. So we're looking at hopefully selling that one out.
And I'm sure the rest will as well, Phil. And I'm hoping with with you talking today on today's show as well, more people will hear a little bit more about you and learn a bit more about your background. So going back in time again, just slightly. So your father brings you all over. He's starts on the circuit himself, a singer and then comedian, and then transitions into pure stand-up. Does that mean I think Mark can sing, if I'm right, Mark Walker, your brother.
Yeah.
And does that mean you can sing as well, Phil? Are you a vocalist like your father and brother?
I can sing a song. Whether I can sing or not is up to other people's,
That means you can. That usually means you can, because people who can't tend to say, no, I really can't. So
well, I haven't really done much singing in the shows, but every so often you get asked to do something in a pantomime, or a few years ago I did a show in Blackpool for 2 years. I hosted the show called Mystique, which was at Blackpool Pleasure Beach.
Yeah, and, I know it. I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good show. It was like a Las Vegas floor show. With all the dancers and magicians. It finished sort of mid 2000s. I did it for 2004, 5, 6, I think.
Yeah. It's a very high quality show. Let me just tell people that's a very high quality show. I felt it really was. There was lead vocalist. I think I auditioned to be a vocalist at the time, many years ago. Lead vocalist, lead dancers. You had to be quite versatile if you were, whatever your act. And it's a real. I mean, it was a Pleasure Beach attraction, wasn't it? I know you're telling me that's closed down now.
Yeah. I mean, they still do shows in the Horseshoe Bar. Ken Webster does his hypnotist act there, and they have a magician that hires the room for the summer. So there's still magic going on there, but just not Mystique. Ken Webster.
Yeah, Ken Webster. He's brilliant, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been there like 25 years. In fact, he's doing. He's a good friend of mine. He's doing a massive challenge at the moment. I think he set off either today or yesterday. He's going to travel to Australia on his own without flying. He's like setting off from Scarborough, where he lives, and getting there by plane, train, not by plane, by train, bus, walking, all sorts. He set himself a challenge to get there. He's raising money for Brian House, which is a charity hospice in Blackpool for children. I've done charities for them myself in the past, and it's a very worthy cause. So he's doing that, but he's been there for like 20 odd years doing his show.
He has. I've seen him several times. I wanted you to say who he was and introduce him, because he is an incredible act. He's up there as one of the best, isn't he? Absolutely sensational act. Ken Webster. So if anybody is travelling or wanting to have a holiday, in Blackpool, then without doubt go down
Ken,
to the
he's there every Saturday throughout. I think he starts sort of May time and runs through till November, and he packs it in there. He's got a hell of a following.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. So he's going to be unavailable now, obviously off season. He's now going to. So is he taking Steve Martin with him? Is it a true train, planes and automobiles?
No, I think he's on his Todd. I think he's setting off on his own. And the good thing is you can follow it all on his YouTube. He's documenting it all on his social medias, so people can actually see what he gets up to. Like, I'm going to be following him.
I
Yeah,
think
it'd be
that's a
interesting to see how
fantastic.
he gets.
That's fantastic. I'd love to know how, because I don't enjoy flying, and perhaps he doesn't. I mean, perhaps his
I don't think
hypnotist.
he does. No, I think that's why
No,
he
I think
came
that's
up with
why
the
he's probably
idea.
doing it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And for me personally, if there is an alternative way of getting somewhere, I'd welcome that too. So watch this space with Ken Webster. Perhaps he's going to hypnotise the taxi driver so he doesn't have to pay.
That'd be good. Yeah.
You never know when you got skills like that how you can get from A to B.
Ah.
So good luck to Ken Webster if he's watching today.
It's end of life care for terminally ill children, really. And it only gets so much funding off the government a year, so people, it relies on things like that to keep
So
it going.
Brian House, if anybody wants to donate, Ken Webster, go onto his profile, have a watch of how he hypnotises his way to Australia
Yeah,
and whether he gets stuck there and can't get back.
that's right.
With a big bill. But no, God bless him, and good luck to him as well. So and your sister Josie Walker, she's also in the business as well. Is that right? What does just share with us what your sister does?
Yeah, she's an actress, and she's been in like a lot of West End shows in the past, like Phantom of the Opera. She played Christine, and she's done Cats. She played the lead in Cats, and she's done Matilda. She was in the original cast of that. She played Miss Wormwood in that.
Wow,
And
so she's obviously got the big
everyone's,
vocals. She's got the
yeah,
vocals as
yeah.
well.
Oh God, yeah. Everyone's talking about Jamie, all kinds of stuff, and she's been nominated for Olivier Awards like three or four times, I think. So she's gone more into straight acting now, so she's doing movies and stuff like that. She was in Belfast, the movie, which was like quite poignant because that's where we came from. And I think her latest one was Kneecapped. She's done that one, which has been quite a big movie this year. She played like the police inspector in that. Yeah, so
Wow.
she's done well for herself. So all three of us have made a
All
living
four
out
of
of
you,
it.
your father as well. So what I want to know is, and just on Josie's, accreditation today, we had a guest a few months ago called Margaret Priest, and she's absolutely phenomenal. She was also in Phantom. So may well have crossed over paths with Josie there. And obviously, if you get into Phantom of all the West End musicals, then your voice has got to be of an extremely phenomenal level. So that just gives accreditation to how great your sister is. So well done to Josie, and we wish her every success ahead also. And your mother, the thing I want to know is you've got four entertainers. So your she's raised two sons and a daughter, all in showbiz, and a husband that's in showbiz. Can you tell me a little bit about your mum, and what's your mum's name?
My mum sadly passed away many years ago, 1989, in fact, when we were all very young.
Oh.
She died sadly.
And what was her name, Phil?
Jean
Jean
Walker.
Jean Walker.
Yeah.
And just tell me a little bit about your mum, if you don't mind sharing today. Just a little bit about your mum and what it was like growing up, in the early years.
Yeah, well, she basically, my dad was on the road a lot, doing his, trying to get his career going. She basically raised us as virtually like a single parent, really, a lot of the year, because my dad would be away a lot summer seasons and stuff like that, and cruises. So, yeah, she brought us up really single-handedly, really, especially with us being away from her family in Ireland.
Of course, yeah. How did that
So she's
feel for
got
your
quite.
mum? Did she build up her own links and community links in the Northeast?
Yeah, she was quite a sociable person and had a lot of good friends wherever she went, really. And wherever we went with my dad, like summer seasons and stuff, people always sort of were attracted to her because she was just got this lovely, personality and stuff. And
Oh.
yeah.
That's lovely. And what happened to your mum? You say she sadly passed in 1989. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, she died of cancer, and it was
Oh,
quite quick. She was diagnosed like 8 weeks before she died, and then had an operation, and it didn't work. So,
oh.
she died shortly after that. Yeah,
And how old were you at the time, Phil?
I was probably about 20 at
Yeah.
the time, 19, 20.
And you
Yeah,
were at that particular age, what were you doing? Were you stepping into show business at 20? Is that right?
yeah.
When this
I was
happened?
just starting off, and started doing the talent competitions and stuff around Blackpool. I was still living at home,
Yeah.
in St Anne's. So she never really got to see what I was doing. But Mark, he'd already started, and he was getting bits of TV and stuff. So she got to see that. And obviously, my sister, she's like 2 or 3 years younger than me. So she was still at college, really, at that time. So yeah.
So she didn't get to see the rewards of what you were doing, but she got to see your father's rewards.
Yeah, yeah. He'd started doing quite a lot of TV, and by that time, and summer season.
And
Um,
obviously the majority of the public know him as the presenter on Catchphrase. How many years did he present that show on telly?
I think it was about 15 years.
Was it altogether?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not the
from
same
sort of
without him. I
85.
mean, no, no detriment to who's presenting today, but that was Saturday night. That your father was a huge part of my Saturday night television, especially as children sat round watching Catchphrase. How did that feel for you as his own child? How did it feel watching your father in showbiz? How did that feel?
Oh, it was great. Because, like I say, there was a lot of variety still on TV around that time. So it wasn't just Catchphrase. He did like Sunday Night at the Palladium, and
Oh yes.
before that, the Comedians was on. That he got his break on that. Um, so there was a lot of stuff going on. Summer seasons, wherever we were, wherever he was, sorry, doing a summer show, we would kind of go there with him for
Wow, that
for the
sounds
summer
great.
holidays. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we spent our summers in like Torquay and Skegness and Bournemouth and all these places, because at that time a lot of them had theatres or piers that with a theatre on, and they would have, for like a couple of months, they would have stars of the day like Russ Abbott and Cannonball and all these people on a variety show,
Yeah.
and people would go and see these. I mean, this is before a lot of people went abroad. A lot of
Of
people go away
course.
now.
Well, we were as a family, we were weaned on pontins and a little bit of butlins thrown
Mm.
in, and that's kind of where you got your practice. Well, for me, I ended up working on a cruise ship, which is where I met your brother Mark, because he was the stand-up comedian Mark Walker on our cruise, and I was a musical theatre entertainer on board MSC Wing. It was, I think, if Mark remembers, and Sun Cruises, and we had a phenomenal time out there. But that was a bit like, I call it a bit like pontins or butlins, where you also do the daytime activities and your PR skills, your entertainment, going up to strangers, saying hello. Just if you're a personable person, it's the most perfect, beautiful surrounds to travel around the Caribbean and the Mediterranean, having a great time doing productions at night, but also in the daytime meeting people like yourself, that are flying over, doing 2 or 3 days on the ship and then flying back. It's a fantastic world. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you say, those cruises are now like the holiday parks or the summer seasons of the day. That
Yeah.
they're the only place where under one roof you can see and do all these things that you used to do in those places. With different comedians, magicians, singers,
Yeah.
the shows that are on there, all happening, and a lot of like young families or whatever, especially the young kids, are probably seeing these kinds of entertainment for the first time in their lives. A lot of them haven't seen or know about what these things are.
What you're saying is it's live theatre, Phil, and not all children. There's a lot of internet work, as you've just highlighted, a lot of TikTok, a lot of people on the phones, and suddenly they're brought into what we revelled in as children, which was the live spectacle, particularly in the Blackpool area, which was a hotspot. I mean, my nana and grandpa had their honeymoon in Blackpool. That's how much of a hotspot that area was in those times. And as you say, Russ Abbott, Cannon and Ball, your father, Roy Walker, all performing in these wonderful areas. And how did it feel? When I was 9, I was watching a comedian. What influenced me was when I was 9, I saw a stand-up comedian come into the Pontins floor show, dragging a long mic. He was probably smoking a pipe or something as well, dry ice smog. And I remember thinking, that's what I want to be, which is very unusual for a little girl. Usually you're looking at the glitzy dancing, and obviously I went down that path, like your sister Josie, and went into musical theatre first, and then came out and then went into the stand-up. But I absolutely loved and always admired the ability to hold a microphone just as yourself and talk to a crowd. And that was a skill that I developed on the cruise ship, watching your brother and other incredible comedians. In fact, your brother Mark had this brilliant ET moment where I don't know if you remember that, where he would become ET. Do you remember? He had a little costume or something. I think he was on his knees. And that's something that just stood out for me as being a brilliant transition, and how you can use comedy to sort of dress up and become other characters as well. It doesn't always just have to be a stock character. Do you have a little bit of that in your show, Phil, or are you just pure stand-up?
No, it's pretty much pure stand-up.
Pure stand-up.
A lot of props and impressions and stuff like that. I've always just done jokes and stories.
Yeah, which is very hard. I mean, the point of this is, as you said with your father, it was easier to sort of lean on a couple of songs, which was kind of my transition into it as well. But to just stand and be you, Phil, that's really hard. Would you agree?
Oh yeah. It takes a while to sort of get going with it all, but
what got you started, Phil?
It took me a long time to sort of find out what I wanted to do and stuff. I did quite a few other jobs before I left school.
Where did you go, Phil? Where did you go?
St. Bede's in St. Anne's, just a little still there, the comprehensive school.
And did you not start doing performance sort of after hours?
Not really, no.
Oh, wow.
No. Just had to go out and learn it on the fly, if you will.
Wow. So you didn't, like I was doing up to sort of 7 shows a year, as well as going to school at some point, ballets and all these different, hybrids of entertainment. You're saying that your dad was basically doing all of that for you in a professional capacity, and you got to watch him. Was there a grain of, do you know what, I want to be like my dad? You must have had that feeling, I would say, to go into the industry.
Yeah, well, there is that. Obviously, you're watching it all the time and watching all these different entertainers like Freddie Starr and people like that, and that it kind of rubs off on you, really. I think Mark knew what he wanted to get in. He knew he wanted to do that straight away, really. So he kind of left college and went straight into it, really. Whereas I took my time and went down, that route a bit later on, but.
And what were you doing first, Phil? What was your jobs, a few of your little jobs that you've done, just to show everybody that it's not as easy as it looks. You don't just land an hour's gig on a cruise, or the jongleurs, without having to build up to that. And what you're saying is, although it was Mark and Josie's career choice, perhaps from a younger age, you were unsure. And so just tell us how that felt and what you did.
Yeah, I mean, I did a few years as working in a golf shop near where we live, because there's a lot of golf courses. So repairing clubs, and because I was quite a good golfer,
Oh wow.
So
Well, that goes
I was thinking,
symbiotic with stand-up comedy, Phil.
yeah, yeah. So I was thinking of going down that route, and then deciding it wasn't for me, and then I started going to the holiday parks, the pontins and stuff. Became a blue coat because I was
Wow,
quite
where was
shy.
that? Where was that, Phil?
That was over in Yarmouth, Hemsby.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so I went
So
there.
tell us about that. So what, you're 16 or a little bit older?
18.
18. So
Yeah.
tell us how that was and what happened. Take us on that journey.
Well, you had to, I mean, the holiday parks, you had to go there and you were thrown at the deep end, really,
Yeah.
go up and talk to the guests and then call bingo and host the glamorous granny competition, all that kind of stuff. And the good thing is it gets you on the microphone and
Yes.
brings you out of yourself because you have to do it. So by the end of the season, you've got a lot more confidence to be able to go out in front of people. And I think those places were good places for people to learn a bit of the craft, and you got to watch a lot of the professional acts up close and personal and get to know them and ask them about their lives and how, so it was like going to college really for show business content.
Absolutely. That's how it was. If you look at Bruce Forsyth and all of the past presenters, most of them have treaded the boards and gone through blue coat or red coat system. It really was a fantastic opportunity to, as well as that, to perhaps get your equity card as well in some cases.
Yeah.
So you've got these wonderful opportunities to speak to the professionals that are 20 years older or whatever. You've also got the opportunity to, as you just said, use the microphone. That's really important when it comes to stand up. If anybody out there wants to do stand up, get on a microphone. What would you advise somebody wanting to start out, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a lot different from when I started. It's very, very competitive. A lot of people want to get into it now. So it's like anything, acting or whatever. There's so much more competition. But as far as stand up goes, is just get in front of a crowd as much as you can. There's a lot of open mic nights wherever you live. Just seek them out and get up and as many times as you can and try and be funny and try out your ideas and have confidence in them and build it up. Go and see as many comedians as you can.
Yeah.
When I started doing the open mics and stuff, I used to stay and watch the whole bill. A lot of open mics I've noticed now on bills that I'm on, they'll come and do their bit and then they just disappear.
No, because you're not
I think
learning.
that's
Yeah.
I think that's a big mistake. I used to, when I first started doing the clubs, I was fascinated by how is this guy the headliner or this lady? What are they doing? What do I need to do to be them?
Yeah.
So you stay and watch. I mean, sometimes I slept on, people, friends' floors or in my car or whatever, just because I wanted to stay rather than get the last train home. I'd stay and watch the show and learn from it, from these people.
You were learning your craft, is what I hear you say. That's very valuable. Yeah.
You got to be prepared to do that. Not a lot of people are, or maybe they're too much involved in themselves and what they're doing. But you need to watch these people, and you might not necessarily learn what you want from them, but what you will see is someone who's been successful doing what they do.
Yeah.
Right in front of you.
And what is your style? What would you say your style was, Phil, for anybody wanting to come and watch you? How would you embody your style?
It's very sort of a lot of conversational sort of stuff, and a lot of topical stuff, and I interact with the crowd quite a lot.
Good.
Especially early on. When I do the ships or my one-man show, whatever, the first 10 or 15 minutes is me sort of bantering with the audience, and then I kind of build into it.
Good. There. So are you saying you do a little bit of ad hoc? I love doing that, more so than the jokes. Yeah. So do the audience. But the point is you do a little bit of banter, the one-to-one banter, and involving the crowd is so appealing because then you break that fourth wall straight away. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, I used to just concentrate a lot on just doing my set all the time for a long time. But then I was like headlining clubs and stuff like that, which was fine. But about 10 years ago, maybe just over, I started doing my own little comedy club, hosting that in Lytham, where we live,
Oh,
in a cricket club. And then
yeah,
we quickly outgrew that and moved across to the theatre where it is to this day. We do shows in Lowther there, Lowther Pavilion, and
yeah.
I have like 3 comedians on, and I host it. So a lot of people have been coming for a long time, so they've seen me. So
That's
I
brilliant, Phil. Just to ask about that. So is that still going, Phil, at the Lowther
oh
Pavilion
yeah,
in
yeah.
Lytham? If anybody
We
wants
do
to
it
come and
every
yeah,
yeah, we do it every couple of months now. So we do it
and it's
like
a
we
stand-up
used to
show
do it every
evening.
month.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we do it. It's on a Thursday night. And we've had people. Jason Manford's come and tried out his material. We've had John Thompson, Cold Feet. We've had a lot of the top guys off the comedy circuit that are friends of mine that I've worked with.
brilliant.
Um,
And have you got
and
up and coming comedians as well, Phil, or is it the pure celebrity field?
yeah, I mean, early on when we did it, the cricket club, we used to have the middle section. It was the newbie section, so we'd have like 2 brand new comedians. Um, but now it's in the theatre. We
Yeah,
tried that at first, and a lot of the brand new people found it a bit daunting going on in a theatre in front of 400 or 500 people.
yes, yeah,
So now I'll have like a really good, strong opening act
yeah,
who's basically a headliner, and
yeah,
then closing the show, I'll have a really good closer. But in the
yeah.
middle, I'm always on the lookout for someone who's just breaking through on the circuit. He's not necessarily a headliner, but they've got they've got a
Yeah,
spark about them,
yeah.
and yeah. So I'm always on, and I like to do a varied bill as well. Different styles, and uh, I'm always on the lookout for good female comics, or good someone who's a bit
Someone's
different to everyone
different.
else.
Yeah, someone that's different is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Um,
it's having 3. I think having 3 sort of middle-aged guys just doing stories is boring. Once you, it's not
well, you grew
boring,
up
but
with that,
it's
didn't you, Phil? You grew up in the house with
yeah,
that.
like the comedians, But I like to on a bill. I think it's nice when you work with 3 or 4 different styles. There might be
Yeah.
someone doing one-liners. There might be someone doing impressions. There might be someone who's like more conversational.
What I'm hearing you do is that you're giving, if you like, people coming up the ranks that have already got crafted worth, obviously, so that people are buying tickets. They want to make sure that it's of a particular level. And what I'm hearing you say is that you're always on the lookout for people who have got who've done a lot of work already, but are perhaps a little different, which I think is fantastic. As you say, like the sandwich, the rose between 2 thorns. Is that right?
Yeah. They know what they're getting with me because I've been doing it like hosting the show for 10 years or so. So when I come on, it's a mixture of a cheer and it's him again sort of thing.
Oh,
Um,
not at all. That's not at all. You're the compere, Phil, and then you've got 3 acts. Is that correct? Yeah.
yeah.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. So that keeps you busy. Did you say every single Thursday, or did you say every other?
No, we do it. It's a Thursday night, and we do it every other month. Every other month, and people look forward to it then.
I think that's fantastic. And as you say, if it's weekly, then it might wane a little, as you say. But with it being every month, so that's only 12 a year potentially. You've only got, it's something to look forward to. Oh, and what date of the month is it, or does that vary? Obviously, it varies
Well, it
slightly.
varies with the. We used to do, because it was the cricket club. We used to do the first Thursday of every month,
Okay.
traditionally. So I did that for about 4 or 5 years there. But then the last 5 years or so, we've been in the theatre. We go with their schedule, so
Yeah.
they give me a select different Thursdays that are available. So we still do it on a Thursday, because I think that's a good night because people have got the weekend to look forward to,
Yeah.
but it also breaks up the week.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we do it on the third, and plus there's a lot of acts looking for gigs on the Thursday, whereas like Fridays and Saturdays, people tend to be busy.
Yeah.
But on a Thursday, you've got a good chance of getting a pretty good lineup of people.
Yeah. And availability is what you're saying, yeah, because it's the night before, as you say, the Friday and the Saturday.
Yeah.
And we are in a situation at the moment of change, good and bad. And how do you feel about current circumstances in the entertainment field? Do you think we've got, better opportunities ahead? How does it feel?
It's just forever changing, isn't it? And you've got to be prepared to change with it, especially since the whole pandemic thing. I've noticed the big changes. You just got to be able to keep your ear to the ground and see what's going, and who's booking which gigs, and be prepared to take chances yourself as well, because nobody's going to give you a living in show business. You've got to go out there and get it.
Yeah, that's really interesting for you to say, because coming from a background of showbiz folk, you didn't have a silver spoon. It wasn't just handed. You had to, work your way up, Phil. Is that right?
Yeah, you got to go out there and earn your stripes on the circuit, and be prepared to sleep in your car or whatever, and get out there. And that's why a lot of people they fall by the wayside, because it is a hard life. It's you spend a lot of time on your own or traveling, and it's not for everyone. Doing the actual show itself is the easy, sort of nice part of it. The rest of it that people don't get to see, especially if you're doing the cruises, they go, "Oh, what a wonderful life you've got. You only do 40 minutes in the theatre," but they haven't seen you up at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting to Manchester Airport, flying to 3 different airports to get to wherever the ship is, and getting on board the ship, going through all the rigmarole that you have to do with that, all the red tape and everything, getting to your cabin, and then freshening yourself up to do a show, or maybe 2 or 3 shows that night. And
cancelled flights and cancelled flights and various things. Well, Ken Webster, we hope in 12 months will be able to magic you by whatever modality he finds as a substitute. He'll be able to perhaps make your journey a little easier.
Yeah, hope so.
But yeah, so what I want to do now is, my show is hosted with my little dog called Tinker, and I know that you have a dog as well. What's your dog called, Phil? I'll just introduce you now, Phil, at this moment. This is Phil Walker. If you want to give a little wave, this is my Tinker. He's my co-host on today's show. And I believe that you've got your own little mascot at your house. What have you got? You've got a little dog called Teddy, is that right?
Yeah, he's a long-haired Chihuahua.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, he sleeps a lot. So they tend to sleep a lot, those dogs. So he's fast asleep under his blanket now.
Is he fast? And you didn't want to wake him? I've woken Tinker up to meet you, Phil. He's 16 and a half, is Tinker, would you believe?
Wow.
He's in his 17th year, so he's obviously very well loved. And how old is your Teddy?
He's 9.
He's 9, so he's also in a great home. And so this is my equivalent of a son. I didn't have an actual son, but I've raised him at 16 to be 16 and a half. And also what I wanted to ask was, you are married, is that right, Phil? And you've got your own family and children. Yeah. So just moving on into that with the introduction of Tinker, can you tell me a little bit about your wife, what she does, and also your children? Are they following in their granddad's footsteps and their father's footsteps?
Yeah, I've got a lovely wife, Janet. We met in Blackpool, and she comes from a similar background. She worked at Pontins and stuff like that. And we met in the hotels in Blackpool.
And what was her job? What was her job, Phil? Was she a singer-dancer or?
Yeah, singing in bands and comparing and in Blackpool, and she's done quite a few other jobs within the industry. she's like worked as a booker on cruise ships as well, and
Wow.
stuff like that. We've got a daughter. She's 21 now, and she's starting off. She went to Lippe College for a couple of years when she got out education in Liverpool.
Yeah. And
And
what
then
did she
she
study
went
there? Did she do drama, acting?
drama, yeah. And then she got a part in Elf the musical.
Oh, did
So
she?
yeah, so she did that for 2 years. Yeah, she toured around all the arenas, like
Fantastic.
Liverpool Arena, Manchester, and stuff like that, playing to thousands of people. And
Wow.
then since then, she's done pantomime. She did pantomime last year in Manchester, playing Cinderella, and so she's starting off her career now. Obviously, she's down in London. She's based up here now with us at the moment because she just finished doing pantomime.
Yeah.
But she's situated down in London because she has an agent down there who's pushing her because she wants to get into the shows down there.
That's fantastic. So following in her Auntie Josie's footsteps, yeah?
That's right.
It's what a family, what a wealth of talent in your family, with generation after generation producing all these incredible artists. I mean, how amazing is that? What great genetics, yeah?
Yeah, very lucky, really.
That's fantastic. So your wife, Janet, where did you meet, Phil? Tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind sharing.
In Blackpool.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was hosting a hotel called the Claremont.
Right. So the
Yeah,
Cliffs in the Claremont was a dual place I was
yeah.
working, and she was working at the Claremont. Okay.
Mm.
And you met
Host,
backstage?
yeah, hosting the summer shows and stuff like that in the sort of 90s.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. And I think, am I right? You also have done the Cliffs and Claremont yourself,
Mm.
many, many
Yeah, I started
times.
off. Yeah, I started off the Viking as well, the Talk of the Coast, they were all part of one chain.
Yeah.
And I won the talent competition there years ago, and the then owners started giving me work at
Wow.
that time. So it was a good start for me,
Yeah.
doing those hotels in Blackpool. They're still going now. They still have entertainment on. Friends of ours still work them, and
I think
yeah,
they're fantastic venues. I really, really do. And I just come back up from London. So, I was stepping back into my hometown of Preston, Lancashire. So for me, it was an opportunity, as you've just said, to build and craft more and more of a show. And for you obviously, were you doing those venues quite regularly, Phil?
yeah. I did them for a few years before I got into the sort of comedy clubs and stuff. But yeah, they were a great start for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that time there was a lot of work in Blackpool in the hotels, and then if you were lucky enough, you got into the theatres, the summer shows, and the Pleasure Beach as well. They had a lot of shows on within their sort of entertainment world. So yeah, it was a good place, Blackpool, really.
Yeah, fantastic. Because as you just said, the Horseshoe Bar, Mystique, they're just on the Pleasure Beach. And Blackpool itself, it really was a buzzing entertainment hub, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
still is. And let's hope, Phil, I'm sure you agree, let's hope we can, if you like, build back better, make sure that we get more and more and more of the entertainment hub,
yeah.
built.
There's still got things going on there. There's a comedy club there now, a purpose-built comedy club. A friend of mine runs it. I've played it a few times near the tower, and obviously the Winter Gardens is still going,
Yeah,
and the Grand Theatre, which is a beautiful old Frank Matcham theatre. And the Pleasure Beach still do their bits as well. So, and yeah, it's still there, but obviously it isn't what it was. But there's still a lot of good entertainment for people to see. Funny girls,
yeah.
and there is still quite a lot going on there.
We've just had Betty Legs Diamond on the show, which is great, from, you know, the lead dancer in Funny Girls, frontline for 30 years, and Simon Green, and he's phenomenal, isn't he, as an
Yeah.
artist? Yeah.
Oh, he's brilliant. Yeah, we've seen
Uh,
that show many times.
yeah. And Zoe, that's on the front chatting, bantering. So Zoe, if you like, is a stand-up comedian, obviously, being able to just interact with the crowds and chat with them, and obviously, you know, Simon is in the hub of the front of the musical production, but also has that quick wit, comic timing. So they're really, as you say, Blackpool has produced, and your family, it seems, you know, the majority of the entertainment that we see in today's society, which is just fantastic. So your family now, you're wondering about whether to move back to Lytham, contemplating going back there. And what's ahead for you, Phil? You did all of this phenomenal, colourful career. Tell me a little bit about when you were performing with the army troops, Phil. Just go into that a little bit, you know, more deeply, so that people can really resonate with how that felt.
Well, yeah, they were great shows. You know, we got to travel all over the world with the troops, really, and you do all kinds of things. You know, like for instance, one time in Afghanistan, we did a show. We were asked to stay over to do a special extra show for some people that couldn't make the show that we did that night. They said, "Would you mind staying here?" So you had to be kind of flexible, because you're working around what they're doing. Obviously, there was a war going on at the time, going
Yeah.
back, you know, 12, 14 years ago. And we did a show for the SAS. It was like 30 of these guys came in, and they just literally come from the front line, you know, covered in dust, and they had these big beards because they're dressed up as like the Taliban. And we ended up doing a show for them, and they absolutely loved it. They really appreciated it, and you know, they invited us to come and see what they got to do, and you know, and look at their, like, the weapons that they use and all that lot. We got to fire some of them in the firing range,
Wow.
and then another day you'd meet the pilots that were flying like the helicopters, and um, all these kinds of things. So it really was like a boy's own adventure, you know, doing these things. And then obviously there was other tours you go to. I think I did 3 tours in the Falkland Islands. So flying all the way down there to the bottom of the world, and then get to go on the beach with the penguins and
Oh,
do,
wow.
yeah, and see the wildlife that's there, because you know, you're very near the South Pole, and then doing the shows at night, just brilliant, great time to it.
So that particular field was something that really resonated with you. Was that because your father was also, well, not also, was that because your father was in the army himself? Was there sort of a connection there at all, do you think, Phil?
Not really, no, because we didn't really know him at that time. We weren't born really when he was in the army. But I've always respected what those people do. You know,
Yeah.
It's a hard life. You know, talk about show business being a hard life. I completely had different hard life. You know, that these people.
Yeah.
So to be privileged enough to spend time amongst them was great, seeing what they actually do.
Yeah.
And then entertaining them at night. Good experiences.
And were you like the male version of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? Have you seen that series, which I think is phenomenal?
No, I've not seen that.
Have you not seen that? One of my favourites, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. She's a female stand-up comedian, and I highly recommend it if you want to watch. And she goes and entertains the troops, and yeah, you can't not enjoy it. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Oh.
So yeah, it's just something that I thought you may well have watched as well. But as a female comic, you can imagine, you know, quite a different, but very comically written. It's a comedy series. series, you see, so it's very comedically written and beautifully crafted. She also, I mean, she should absolutely be a stand-up, the actress playing her. She's just phenomenal, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, so it just resonated with what you said there. And so she sort of playing to the troops in the comedy series, she highlights just, you know, as you've just said, just how difficult it can be, you know, out there for them. So you would do the evening shows. They would be sat. Is it bars and venues or?
Because it's those shows where, you know, you'd have a tour crew with you and everything, and they'd set a stage up and proper lights and sound system, and like a theatre really.
Okay.
And they're all
Okay.
that theatre style seating. So it all very professionally done and set up, you know. But we also did shows on the fly as well in tank garages and you know, gyms that sort of turned into, you know, a show for the night.
That's what I was meaning, because you haven't always got the luxury. You know, you don't want your music to be too loud if the enemy's over there or whatever. You haven't always got the luxury of a stage, and that's what I was intrigued about as to whereabouts these performances were. So, so there's different venues and makeshift theatre venues. What was your most intriguing? What was the most sort of challenging but also fun thing? Because Patrick Monaghan's been on, stand-up comedian, and he said that his most challenging venue was in lockdown, where he was performing to a car park of people sat in cars, and he said, and every gag, if it was funny, they would beat the horn. So, you know, what was your most challenging?
Well, I did a couple of those shows in Lytham as well. We did
you?
car park shows. Yeah.
How was
people had
that,
their
Phil?
speakers. It was weird. You know, the people watching you on the screen, but then they've also got the sound of you in their car. But then you can't hear them if they're laughing. But it's like you say, they beat the horn. It's just, you know, it's completely different.
It's crazy. It's absolute ludicrous, Phil, isn't it? Really?
When you look back on it, yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Forces gigs, you know, we did some flight the Falkland Islands. We flew us up to the mountain sites on the helicopters, and we did a show did shows in like a container, if you will, that goes on the back of a lorry to 10 people that are stuck up on this mountain. And then we just set a little stage up and do a show for them there, you know. And suddenly they've got like Tony Hadley from Spandau Ballet in front of them, and Phil Walker, the comedians, telling a few jokes, and
that's
dancers.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So you were on tour with other artists as well. Can you name a few of the other artists that you shared these tours with?
Well, famous ones were, I did 2 or 3 with Tony.
Yeah.
He just left Spandau Ballet at the time. They'd had a big breakup, and he was doing stuff on his own. So I worked with him. Bucks Fizz, did quite a few with Bucks Fizz.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but then a lot of the other ones were just with comedians.
Yeah. So it's like
Rod
a double
Gilbert.
set at the top of a mountain, basically.
Yeah. Then, you know, whoever they wanted, they kind of got them for them. So, you know, you'd be on with like Jim Jeffries or Rod Gilbert and famous comedians. Yeah, I mean, while we were there in Afghanistan, Chris Rock was there, and he was entertaining the Americans.
Wow.
You know, so.
And what is your protection? What is your protection over there? You know, were you afraid in any way?
Well, yeah, it is a bit, you know, but you're protected. You're with the army all the time, but you fly into the bases wherever they are, so they're heavily protected. These bases, you know, Camp Bastion and Kandahar and all these places.
And did you ever sort of sleep overnight in the tents and things? I'm assuming Bucks Fizz didn't.
Oh yeah, they did.
Did
that's
they?
The thing. You're all in together. You know, we're touring around. You know, you might be sharing a tent with 20 or 30 people. pick up your own bed and stuff like that. But you had to be prepared to, rough it a bit, really. You're not given a private suite or anything like that.
Wow. That's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how that feels, but for anybody watching Phil today, that's really interesting. But you really are thrown into the mix of it, and with lots of different artists. So just tell us about that. Once the show's finished, are you there sat having a drink and, chatting away? Tell us a flavour of
Yeah.
what it was like. Yeah.
So, usually you do a show and then you get hosted by whoever you've entertained that night. You'd go back to their mess,
Yeah.
which is like their chill out place, and
Yeah.
then you chat to them and meet them, and they'd tell you about their lives, and then you go to bed, and then the next day you'd get up and they had it all organised that you'd meet all these different people, and then they wanted to tell you about what they did. Like for instance, you might go and meet some guy who flies drones.
Yeah.
And and he's operating these drones that are flying 100 miles away on a
Wow.
screen like a PlayStation and stuff.
And you're like
So
you're a welcome relief from the obvious tensions of a place like that. You're the respite. So they're sort of probably holding on to you, really. Tell us a story, and we know what's going on here, but you're the nice sort of relief. Yeah, is that right?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, from the outside world, and of
Yeah.
course they're spending 6 months to a year on these tours away from their friends and families. So it's like a little taste of home for them for a little bit.
Well, that's the symbiotic nature of working with the troops and entertainment. As you say, I have friends that have been in the army, and they all say, "Oh, you've got the hardest job in the world doing stand up." I'm sure you've heard that yourself, but actually, we reflect on their job, and it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very easy to pick up a microphone comparative to that. So it's nice though. There's a lovely respect in all these crossover industries, with so many different people, and that's the thrust of today's podcast. It's all about entertainment and health, Phil. And so how on that note, how has your health been? Are you in good health? You look like you are. Or have you had any circumstances that have beset you in any way?
Touch wood, I'm pretty good. I've always kept myself fairly fit, over the years. Physically, I always try and keep myself, pretty active.
Yeah.
Especially during the lockdown, I got out. I use my bike quite a lot. I like cycling.
Yeah.
So in fact, one day I decided to cycle from Blackpool to Scarborough
Did
in
you?
a day. So I did that. I've always wanted to do it, and the roads were empty at that time. But it's 145 miles from Blackpool
Wow.
to Scarborough, and you got to go over the hills of Yorkshire, which is quite brutal,
Yeah.
big
Well,
climbs.
that's almost 3 times as much. I think it was 53 miles I did. So yours is 3 times as much as that. That is phenomenal. Wow.
So I've done that. I've done other big rides as well, but last year I did an Ironman. I've always wanted to do an Ironman, so I did. They were doing the UK Ironman in Bolton, near where we are.
Yeah.
And I found out that they were doing it, so I entered that a couple of years ago and did it last year. So that was a good achievement. So
That's
stuff
brilliant.
like that. It
Tell
keeps
us what the
you.
Ironman entails for anybody that doesn't know, just in case. Tell us what the Ironman entails, Phil.
Well, it's a triathlon.
Yeah.
So swimming, biking, and running. On the full distance Ironman is 120. You do 2.8 miles swim, and then you do 112 miles on a bike, and then a marathon. Pennington Flash. So you go in
Pennington
there.
Flash.
It's
Yeah.
it's a big lake near Wigan, and then do that swim, and then you transition onto your bike, and then we cycled from near Wigan up to Bolton, and then it was 3 loops around out towards Darwin and over it's very, very hilly.
Yeah.
course. So you do that for 112 miles, then end up back in Bolton town centre, and you get off your bike, get changed into your running gear, and then do marathon around Bolton.
Wow.
It took me 16 hours to do it.
Did it?
Yeah, some of the professionals and top amateurs, they do it in like 12 hours, but
Yeah,
it took
but
me a long time.
well, I wouldn't say that was a long time. I would say, my goodness, congratulations.
Yeah,
Absolutely phenomenal.
I mean, all I wanted to do was finish it. Really, I wasn't going for a time or anything. I was just pleased to get round, because on the day I think there was like 1,400 people who entered it, and it
Wow.
was a very bad weather day as well. There was a lot of wind and stuff,
Yeah.
and I think there was only 840 or something that finished it. So quite a third of the field dropped out
Yeah.
because of the conditions and because of how hard it is, really.
Yeah, because it's extremely challenging. So that's an Ironman. Are you into healthy eating as well, Phil? Is that something that you have symbiotically with your exercise routine? Or are you a typical northerner that likes his mushy peas and chips and gravy?
Oh, I still like that. Don't get me wrong, but you have those things as a treat, every so often. I think if you just continually eat that stuff, then it's not going to be good for you. But yeah, I try to have a balanced, healthy diet, but then every so often have a few beers or a glass of wine, because you've got to enjoy your life as well.
Absolutely.
I've always been one of these people. If you fancy having a chips and gravy, get yourself down to the chippy and get some chips and gravy. Don't deny yourself.
Yeah, so you enjoy life is what I'm hearing you say. The good thing is you're in obviously impeccable health to be able to do that.
Touch
I
wood.
mean, oh, absolutely, Phil. And can we ask how old you are, or would you like to keep that quiet?
In my 50s.
Are you in your 50s? Okay.
Yeah, I'll be in his 50s. Yeah.
And what about
yeah,
Mark? Is Mark younger or older than you? Forgive me if that's offensive.
he's a couple of years older than me.
So Mark's a couple of years older,
Yeah.
and he's still on the circuit. He's still doing the same thing. Is that right?
I think he does a couple of cruises now and again, but he had to change the lifestyle after the pandemic. And
Okay.
yeah, he's living on a boat now. He bought a boat,
Oh,
and yeah, he's got into his sailing, and he does that really. I think he just does the odd gig to keep his hand in, now.
wow. I have to say, he was a very brave soul on our cruise ship. If I remember correctly, there was an enormous storm one day, and I mean, firing electrics, and we were all ordered, do not go on the back of the ship. So your brother, you know him, I'm sure, more of a daredevil than me. He sort of led the troops, and some people followed him, and he said, I think he had his guitar. Am I right? He plays a guitar. Is that right? And I think he took that onto the back of the ship just to sort of test the laws of survival. And yeah, so he's always been quite a daredevil. Are you quite a daredevil? It sounds like you might be with the ventures that you've undertaken in your life, Phil.
I don't think I'd do that, no.
I hope I'm not misquoting. I think it was him, but he was so funny and joyous, and he also brought, so much joy to the ship, a bit like you've just said with the troops. So, as you said at the beginning, and we'll sort of draw to a close with this. What would your encouragement, enthusiasm be? Obviously, for your own daughter as well. What would you say to anybody that's facing any rejections? Because I'm sure it hasn't all been a smooth ride on your journey, and for all of us, if you do start facing rejections or struggles, what would your wonderful advice be to anybody going through any sort of struggles like that?
You just got to keep believing in yourself, really, if you can, and try and stay positive and keep, but like I say, believing in yourself, and don't let anyone sort of tell you can't do it if you think you can. And just keep going, and hopefully one day you'll get a little break, and that'll be your catalyst to do other things.
So you've done 25 years, Phil. 25 years
Plus,
on the circuit. 25 years plus on the circuit and on the television. Can you just share with us a little bit of your television credits as we draw to a close today?
Yeah, I was on very early on in the sort of early 90s. I did they brought the comedians back for a season, so we did 6 episodes of that with a lot of different comics.
Was that with Shane Ritchie?
Yeah, I think he was on it. All different comics. Johnny Casson, myself, quite a few, Pauline Daniels, all these different people from the circuit. And then I did 3 or 4 years on a show called Talking Telephone Numbers.
Oh.
With Philip Schofield and Claudia Winkleman, who does
wow.
The Traitors. What else have we done? The Big Stage, which was Channel 5 with Bradley Walsh. Des O'Connor was really good to me. He, after I'd won the City Life thing, they saw clips of me doing the Comedy Store, and I was invited to go and do. So I did 3 interviews with Des on his show, and yeah, he was really good. But since then, that was like mid-2000s. I haven't really done anything for a while.
No, but that doesn't matter. The fact is, here you are today sharing the wealth of talent that you've got, Phil, and also what got you into it. You know, you've shared your entire family with the best genetics in Blackpool. And you know, and you're obviously an incredibly personable guy as well, because that's so important to share. Would you agree? For longevity in this career, you know, keep being a good bloke or a good lady, and learn your craft, and watch others and support others. What I'm hearing you say is you stayed in your car overnight so you could actually support other artists that were also coming up the ranks and learning and doing their open spots. Right from the beginning, you were somebody that supported others. That, I think, is you know, testament to what a lovely gentleman you are.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, but I do think the comedy circuit, there are a lot of good people. You know,
Yes.
you make the effort to get to know people. Like, for instance, Jason Manfred. He's a good friend of mine from the circuit. But we started off when I started doing the comedy clubs around Manchester. He was starting off as well, and we've kind of gigged together and kept in touch. And then
he's lovely as well. Another very personable and friendly, jovial, you know, and very talented comedian.
Talented guy, yeah. I mean, we did a tribute show to Bobby Ball when he died at the Opera House, and there was all these different stars on it. Jason was hosting it, and it was my first show back from after the lockdown, to 3,000 people in the Opera House. And
that's the biggest stage in the country. I want to just highlight to anybody watching, the Opera House, Blackpool Opera House, is the biggest theatre in the country. So well done, Phil. That's incredible.
Yeah. So I did my bit, and then Jason, when I came off, he goes, "Oh, I'm doing your tour after this. I want you to do some sports lots on it." So he kind of got me back into that. So I did them, and people like that, they even though they've had all this success, they do remember where they came from, you know.
They do, and that's why they've got longevity. Absolutely, because they are, as I said, like yourself, very personable, kind-hearted, as Steve Royal is, Patrick Monaghan, other artists we've already had on the show so far. Very, very lovely, kind-hearted, giving people. And Lester Crabtree is another. He's in my book, and Steve Royal has given a front cover endorsement to my book, which is incredibly gracious of him to do, and we all have each other's backs in this industry, because we know what it feels like, don't we? I think when we've gone through the ranks and we've done you know, the hard circuit, the hard graft. I had mine in London on the London comedy circuit. When you've done that, you realize how hard it is for those that are now the up and coming ones. Would you agree? So you pay it forward, is what I'm saying. You pay it forward with the other acts. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And plus, you know, I think if you keep in contact with people. You never know where you might work with them further down the line, like that, for instance, for Jason. But there might be a situation where you've helped someone start off their career and means a lot to them. And then maybe later on in the years, they'll have a bit of success and they'll go, oh, that person, I'm going to give them a part in my sitcom or something like that.
100%, absolutely. So keep the doors
on the side
open.
of these people.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. But also on a humanitarian level, it's a lovely industry, and there's a lot of wonderful, talented artists, including yourself, out there, and your brother Mark, who's phenomenal as well, and of course your father Roy Walker, really, and Josie. Let's not forget Josie, your sister. So and now your daughter's name. Let's highlight your daughter's name. So you've got Verity, and she's now out there and performing. So she's doing incredibly well, following in her father's footsteps and her mother's footsteps. And so what lies ahead for you now? You just said earlier in the show that you've got Happy Bunny, which is on tour as of last autumn, and it's going to be touring previously from February this year, and you're hoping that that's potentially going to come back in the autumn of this year as well, moving ahead. Is that right?
Yeah. So I've got that, and some just various club dates.
And how can people find you, Phil? How can people find you? Just to conclude today, how can people find you?
Well, they can go to my website, which is phil-walker.com. Straight line across walker.com, and then it's got the links to all my socials, the usual Instagram and stuff like that. And yeah, it's all there for them. They're
fantastic. So phil-walker.com, and it's been an absolute pleasure interviewing you today, Phil, and hearing about your life. And keep up those fitness levels, is what you're saying. Have your chips, but have them in scarcity.
Moderation.
Yeah, in moderation. Everything's about moderation, so that you can have a more sustainable, long life and career. And may you continue to blossom ahead and continue to entertain the world as you do, with your incredible stand-up material. So it's been a joy today. I'll leave the last word to you, Phil. First of all, thank you for your time today. And I'll leave the last word to you, encouraging anybody that wants to go into this field in stand-up.
Thank you. Yeah, just like I said before, just keep going, keep believing in yourself, and just never give up. And watch and learn from people. Spend time to study. What makes them great, and then what makes you great in the end.
I like that. Look at what makes you great. And that's a great way to end today. Well, you are great, Phil Walker. And thank you so much for your time. God bless you. And I hope to see you again at some point in the future. Thank you for your time today. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All the very best ahead. Thanks, Phil. Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.